You can get a lot of very functional 2011 style pistols for about $4,000, but to a gun they're all boring looking. The big draw on this gun is supposed to be that it has 12 ports in it, but what I keep coming back to is the finish, the polished flats. This one has a Celtic knot along the top rail. The cool combination of kind of a burnt bronze, silver, and black just makes the gun super classy looking. I shot it against the XC, the Bul Tac Pro, and the Prodigy Comp, and it's still got 12 holes in the barrel. Did I mention that? Welcome back to the channel. This is the Cosaint Arms, or Cosaint Arms Havoc, and it is one of the prettiest guns that you can get without spending complete custom gun money. This is an expensive gun, guys, coming in at about $4,200, so it is Staccato XC money, but it looks good in a way that none of the Staccatos do. Considering it comes with a good range bag, 2 MBX magazines, and a aluminum Chile L2 grip, it starts to be somewhat reasonable given the price point. The Chile L2 grip is one of my favorite aluminum grips, probably my most favorite aluminum grip that I've tried. It's what I have on my Voodoo Gun Works Priest, and it's just a very good all-round grip if you can't get a steel one. The 2011 game, much like the AR-15 game, really comes down to specifications, and you can kind of get whatever you want. You just have to know what that is, and we'll walk through what the spec is on this gun. This gun costs a lot of money. What would it take for you to justify buying a gun that costs more than $4,000? Like, what would the gun need to be? What would it need to have? What would make, in your mind, the gun worth its price point at that price point? The just very high super premium pistol. Sound off in the comments and let me know. I owe all the dads in the audience this crisp high five and a proper dad joke. Why should you never make fun of a paleontologist? You could get Jurassic. I like to tell you guys how the guns come to the channel, and this Havoc is actually on loan from Cosaint Arms, so this is going to go back to them after the video. This actually is a production gun, but it started life as a custom gun for a dude named Charles, and they both liked it so much they decided to put it into production. So let's talk about the specs of what this gun is to see if it's up your alley. It is a 5-inch government style 2011 style pistol with a steel frame, a bull barrel, and it comes with an aluminum grip, and the barrel has 12 ports, 6 on this side, 6 on this side. That's going to help kind of dumb down the ammunition and make the gun just generally very, very nice shooting, but also super loud. The safety is an ambi safety, and it is very well fit. It has a flat trigger and a super good trigger job. This is easily the best trigger job on a gun in this price point that I have tried. The Chile L2 grip is kind of nice. It has these chevrons on kind of the front and the back strap, and the back strap is very much just a grip tang, not a beaver tail safety. But the traction is not so bitey that it's going to cause a bad day at the range if you're putting a lot of round count in, but it gives you enough traction where the gun doesn't want to rotate. I just really like the grip for what it is. It has a skinnier style magwell at the bottom of the grip, and as I mentioned, the flats are polished. There are some windows to kind of provide traction on there. So when I took the gun out shooting it, I just tried a bunch of different types of ammo. First, I shot it with Blazer 115, which has not been great ammo recently. It's just not been all that accurate for me out of any gun, and it wasn't particularly accurate out of this gun. The American Eagle 147 grain that I shot out of it did better. All between the two, I would say the 115 definitely feels softer shooting than the 147, and that's because the ports are bleeding off the excess power of the gas coming out the end of the muzzle, and so there's just the 115 grain pill versus a 147 grain pill. That is your, less than high school physics lesson today. That's one of the things about ports you kind of have to keep in mind when you're shooting a ported gun. You need to use good FMJ projectiles, which the Blazer projectiles aren't necessarily. So I tried my Buffalo Creek 115s, which are using a heavy plated projectile, and it got better accuracy than the Blazer. The Buffalo Creek 115 ammo is super soft shooting. You should check out that pinned comment down below and follow the link to my website because I think you might like what you find there. I also happen to have some Max Tech 115 grain, and I shot that as well and got the best groups that I shot all day that actually, has better jacketed projectiles. It was a 115, so it seemed to exploit the gun the best. I was pretty happy with how the gun behaved sort of all around. The very predictable trigger with the Chile L2 grip just makes the gun settle in beautifully. But since it's got 12 holes in the barrel, I was curious how much gas it was losing and how much I was going to lose velocity off of this non-ported Voodoo Gun Works Priest. And I was happy to find out that it was only about 25 foot per second, which is kind of wild using the Buffalo Creek 115s. And this is a piece of equipment, guys, you're going to have to learn how to work. You can't just kind of pick it up and do whatever you want to do and expect to get the best results. Ported guns typically need to use FMJ projectiles. You can use some of the heavy plated stuff. The light plating stuff isn't good. And if you shoot the polymer coated bullets, you're going to get a lot of that jacketing kind of up on the underside of the slide and onto the barrel. And that stuff's pretty tough to clean off. So definitely spend some time with some ammo and figure out what your gun likes. So shooting it against the Staccato XC, it was very much in the same neighborhood as far as the muzzle lift was concerned. The recoil impulse on the XC is a little bit different because it's got a commander length slide. So it's just a lighter moving mass, 6 to 1, half dozen the other. This is every bit as soft shooting as a Staccato XC. If there was a difference in the dot lift between the two guns, I couldn't really notice it, and I certainly couldn't exploit it in one gun versus the other. So really it's going to come down to if you want a faster feeling cycling gun, that would be the XC, or if you want a slower, more predictable style gun, the 5-inch slide is going to do that for you. Moving on to the Bul Tac Pro in 5-inch, the slides are roughly the same, but there is only V8 porting in the Bul, and there's, 4 more ports in the Cosaint. The dot lift looked pretty much identical to me. They both felt good in the hand. This gun weighs, 3 to 4 ounces more than the Bul Armory did, so the Bul Armory was a little bit more lively, kind of popped in the hand a bit harder. In the small details, the Havoc absolutely outshines the Bul, and I mean, that's because it costs over $1,000 more than it. It's got a nicer finish. It's got kind of the nicer small sort of details with, multiple colors and stuff like that. It's got an aluminum grip. All of it's nicer, but you're paying for it. The performance-wise, it's very, very comparable. As far as the Prodigy Comp is concerned, this video is not about that, but don't sleep on that gun, guys. It's a pretty special gun. Everything about the Havoc is nicer. Absolutely everything. The recoil impulse, however, because you got that little 4-inch slide, it wasn't wildly different. So as far as recoil-wise, the Prodigy was hitting you in the hand roughly the same. The dot lift was somewhat comparable, but literally everything is better about this gun. The Prodigy Comp has complete metal injection molded parts. This has none. This has a much better trigger out of the box. Like, everything is squared away on this gun, and the Prodigy is kind of a work in progress. So knowing that, I took it to an indoor IDPA match to kind of give it another chance to shoot it and learn practically how to live with it. And what I found is that the gun was absolutely slinging lead exactly where I was looking. I chose to use the MaxTech 115 because I got the best accuracy from it, and ultimately was rewarded with a match win. Now, this is a tolerance stacking game, and what I found out pretty quickly is that the MBX IDPA magazines don't work 100% with the magwell that's on this gun, and as a result, I failed to have the magazine lock in when I did a speed load, and it fell right back out, and I got stuck eating a standing reload. I had not tried those magazines with this gun prior to the match, so that's on me 100%. And that's always going to be kind of the case. You have to test magazine, base plate, and magwell compatibility pretty much in every gun. Accuracy was fantastic. I didn't drop very many points with the gun. It was tracking very predictably, and I was shooting it about as fast as I felt comfortable to secure maximum points. Now, on one stage, I did have a lightly charged load from MaxTech. I could feel it in the recoil impulse, and it felt like it was going to choke the gun. Happy to report that it didn't, but that is a consideration if you get like very inconsistent ammo. Lighter loads might choke a gun with as much porting as this one has. All in all, the gun performed wonderfully at the IDPA match, and it turned a lot of heads because it was the prettiest gun on the range. Now, the negatives that I alluded to, obviously the magwell not being compatible with that MBX style base pad, considering this is probably best suited in a sporting context as a IDPA carry optics gun or ESP gun, and the fact that this magwell doesn't work for it isn't my favorite. And probably the most egregious thing, and this is the prototype of the gun, guys, they probably fixed this going into production, but they used a longer than necessary pin to retain the magwell on the bottom, so it sticks out just a bit more than it should, and for some reason that bothers me. Using the correct length of pin would be nice, but I'm sure they've sorted that out and are using it in the production models. So spending this much money on a pistol is absolutely an emotional as well as a performance style purchase. You want the functionality the gun is going to offer, the quality that it's going to have, but also the kind of the emotional piece on how it looks and how it makes you feel. When you're spending that much money on the gun and you buy a boring looking Staccato, it's just like, it's just a black gun. But this, it's got features that represent a price point that this gun asks for. It looks like a special gun. This is one of the prettiest 2011s that I've held that, wasn't a $10,000 plus Infinity. and it is a fantastic looking, fantastic shooting gun. I know I'm supposed to be crowing about the fact it's got a bunch of holes in the barrel, but really what keeps coming back to it for me is the fact that we now have options that are very, very aesthetic for the price point that we've been paying. And this is the first gun when you can both like look at it and feel it and be like, yep, that gun makes sense for the price they're charging for it. So if you want to learn more about the Voodoo Gun Works Priest, you can watch this video here.